Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past. I am MakeFreak400, and in this episode we are going to be doing our first temple of the Dark World. This is the Dark Palace. I think it was the Dark Palace. Again, the music here changes as well. The music in the old temples was, just kind of a more like I'm here, I'm kind of exploring. It was kind of like an awe and fascination. It's like, wow, this is a temple. It was very subtle. This one is also subtle, but it's subtle in a very like eerie way. And the color, again, the color palette helps. The fact that everything is gray, it fits well with the music. That's something. Being an artist and being someone who cares about his own work. I'm not great. I'm not great at art yet, but someone who wants to make good art and cares about things like. I'm not saying other people don't, but that's something I can't help but stress and want game makers to stress more. People focus on the quality. I know I sound like a broken record. I'm sorry, but the quality of graphics, the quality of graphics, and also them being realistic and the most realistic graphics. And there's nothing wrong with wanting realistic graphics. There's nothing horribly wrong with it. And I don't have a problem with it, personally. It's just, some games don't work well with realistic graphics. I don't think all games need to have realistic graphics. Can you hear me? It's Zelda. I'm walking Turtle Rock. Oh, is he still alive? I know you are doing your best, but please hurry. Well, I'll try, but I kinda gotta go through, like, quite a few dungeons before you can even get to Turtle Rock. But yeah, I mean, Zelda, for example, could this game use realistic graphics, and could it also help it? Yeah, it could. But at the same time, it's not necessarily the style. I mean, sometimes certain styles work better. Yes, they do. But even more important, though, than the style, I feel, is how the graphics are used. In this game, they're used effectively. They use the environments, they use the colors of each area really well with the music. And there are other games who do that too. It's not like this is the only game. There are plenty of games who do that. I feel there's less nowadays than there was in the past. But could this game use realistic graphics, and would it still kind of convey the same feel? Perhaps. I don't know if it would. I think really honestly, there are some styles I feel that work better for some games or better for some things than others. But at the same time, ultimately, I think you can technically use any style. It's how you use that style. Like, you can do them realistic. If you make this game realistic looking, but you still use the colors, and you still kind of had the same atmosphere, it would still, have the same kind of effect. So the style isn't necessarily as important as how you use it. It's kind of like a weapon is only as good as the strength of a weapon doesn't matter. It's how you use it. The strength of a sword. That's kind of what this game kind of does in a sense too. Like, you have the Master Sword is the Master Sword is also a very interesting weapon in the Zelda franchise. As its purpose kind of, it's always the sword of evil's bane, but the question always comes up, is it the sword that has the power, or is it the person who's using it? And it kind of goes back to the whole, Zelda has that kind of Sword of the Stone aspect. I mean, the Master Sword really is kind of like the Sword in the Stone. But yeah, there are a lot, I could go on and on about Zelda lore and Zelda, the timeline theories and all those. It's a franchise that I feel not necessarily has a lot to talk about, but can be talked about. I could go on decades, and a lot of it, again, is inferred stuff. The big key, I got the big key, finally. Well, not finally, it was pretty early. Fan theories, and other people will say, well, why are you making theories? That's just dumb. Why are you doing? Well, it's fun to make theories. It's fun to theorize, and this is one of those games that makes me want to do that. That's, I guess, I really, the Zelda franchise is just it's very interesting in that way, mostly because of the. I don't know necessarily if the game attended some of the things that people come up with, some of the theories, but it's not only is it fun, but it's also intriguing and interesting to talk about Zelda and how it relates to just life in general. I mean, there are a lot of things. Again, the whole thing I said last time about the whole Dark World and the greed, that's a very powerful message. And it's nice that a game can kind of almost deliver that message while at the same time being a really good game. You know, what else can I talk about? I'm gonna change topics a little bit and talk about commercials. I think us as a society have become spoiled. Personally, that's not really something that people have just decided, oh, we're gonna be spoiled. No, it's more of just a gradual thing, and it's not something that I necessarily think is horrid. It's just I feel people need to realize, this aspect, and they need to take a step back and say, okay, wait, I need to stop complaining about this. I complain a lot, or at least talk about things I don't like, and sometimes I might go a little bit vigorously about it, a little intensified. But overall, most of it's just theorizing, just thinking. There are things I wish in the world would change. And when I get in those topics, it's a little bit more intense. But in terms of just in general, like what I want in a game, it's more or less just me talking. I feel like people complain way too much about problems that are very minuscule, and that sometimes it's better just to let it go. I mean, it's one thing to, it's great to talk about it. I talk about things. I think it's great to talk about things and talk about how to theorize it, but at some point, eventually, unless you're actually attempting on fixing it, eventually you just gotta say, okay, well, we've talked about this to the point of it not being, not really much else to talk about. But anyway, I'm kind of getting off topic. We, as a society, I believe, are spoiled. Back in the day, they didn't have TV. They didn't have TV, they didn't have computers, they didn't have any of this stuff. And you could say, well, that was back in the day. Well, yeah, it was. And I'm not saying we have to compare ourselves to back in the day. But, when people are throwing huge fits about... I still kind of watch it, but, for example, The Daily Show and The Colbert Report used to be on Hulu. They were taken off Hulu because Comedy Central wanted more money. Or I guess Viacom, because Viacom owns Comedy Central, wanted more money, and they didn't want Hulu to be involved, so they put them they just have them on their own site now. That site has more commercials. There's more commercials on that site, and they appear quite frequently. When I haven't been watching it as of late, but when I was watching it near the beginning, there was tons and tons and tons upon complaints about the commercials. Now, sometimes people just need to blow off steam. I get that, and there's nothing wrong with blowing off steam. I have no problem with that personally. But first of all, there's a time and a place, and sometimes, in a way, and sometimes people get a little bit too, passionate about it. I mean, there was people saying, this is horrid, this is ruining my life, it's, these commercials are horrid and awful, why would they ever do this? People threatening, violence, getting pissed and claiming revenge against Comedy Central. It's like, okay, am I really fond of the commercials either? No, but they're 30 seconds, they're over with, or usually 30 seconds, they're not that long, and sometimes there's some funny ones, and TV has commercials too. I mean, I think people are used to not, watching things online and not having to deal with commercials, and with, like, DVR and stuff, you'll skip through commercials, but they've existed for a while. It's not everywhere you go there's commercials. There's always advertisements everywhere. When you walk down the street, you see advertisements. You can't escape advertisements. And I guess the thing with advertisements on TV or on like computers is you're forced to watch them. Well, I mean, if anything, just turn on the thing, leave, load the video, maybe grab a snack, come back, and then start back at the beginning. But it's not like I don't think it's that big a deal. And like with YouTube commercials now, people are throwing huge fits about YouTube commercials and when people have them on their channels. And I mean, I can't blame them for not liking them, but seriously, have some patience. It's not that. Is it really going to ruin your life if, with so much distraught and, horrible things in this world, is it really gonna affect you that much if you have to sit through a commercial for 3 seconds? It's annoying, yes, but there are a lot of things in life that are annoying, and ultimately that's one of those things I think, maybe say, oh, it's so annoying, I hate these commercials, and then, drop it. If you keep dwelling on the fact, it's not only going to make you more annoyed about it, but it's not gonna help anything. Nothing's gonna be helped by you complaining about it necessarily. Now, and you can try, and people who are making, attempts to try and stop commercials, they're not gonna necessarily work. I mean, YouTube wants to make money. They're not gonna just say, oh, well, our fans don't want commercials, we're gonna get rid of them. And I guess the thing is, well, you could try and, ask them, hey, can we get, can you change the way commercials are made? Can you make them better? Can you make them so they don't stop halfway through? Well, the stopping halfway through actually has more to do with people's connections, but hello, Helmasaur King. This guy, you can use your hammer that we got in the palace to break his mask, or you can use bombs. I'm using the hammer because it's a little bit more difficult. But yeah, I guess, I don't know. I just feel like, yeah, they're annoying, but they're have some patience. It's not the end of the world. There are much worse things that could happen than watching a commercial. And, I mean, times change. You may be used to there not being any commercials. Well, now there are commercials. Eventually you're going to get used to it, and it's just going to be a way of life. Whenever something like that happens, I just, like, with the commercial thing, or like my connection at home is a lot less stable than the one at college, so I just make sure that before I watch, even though it takes longer technically for them to load, I make sure that I load all the videos beforehand and then start sitting down to watch them. And like, for example, when YouTube made it so that whenever you click full screen, it makes it for, 80? I can't remember what, it makes it higher quality, so it takes longer to load. I just make sure to full screen it at the beginning, so I don't have to worry about full screening it at the middle and then having to wait for it to load again. I just adapt to these changes, and that's kind of what I feel people need to be doing more. Is it's great to let out steam and complain and just discuss your opinion, but at the same time, adaptation is probably the best thing to do. Sometimes you can't change things, and sometimes the best thing you can do is change how you react to it. This world used to be the Golden Land where the Triforce was hidden, but because Ganon, the boss of thieves, wished that the world was transformed. Ganon and his minions. I'm sure he's even intending to conquer even our light world after building his power here. He is trying to open a larger gate between worlds near the castle using our power. But the gate is not open completely yet. If we 7 maidens come together, we can break the barrier around Ganon's hiding place. I will tell you where the other girls are held. I believe you will destroy Ganon and his minions. I'll return to my original form, meaning not a crystal, at that time. Do you understand? Yes, I do. May the way of the hero lead you to the Triforce. Hurrah! Alright then, so this has been MegaFreak 400, and... I am reminding you to try and adapt to things, because, that's a good way to be.